And I don't know how fake feel, nigga. Cause all my life I've been a real nigga. Say all my life I've been a real nigga. Yeah, all my life.
Before I get into this critique review, I have to say I am really enjoying the game for what it is. It's just one of those things that I find disappointing, since if they ironed out a few things, this could very well undeniably be the best Dragon Ball Arena fighter, if not the best Dragon Ball game of all time. But because of weird design choices that they decided to implement with this game, I would feel like I would not only be lying to you, but also myself by saying it's the best Dragon Ball game of all time. Because it isn't, but it has potential to be. But anyway, look, I was very hyped for Sparking Zero. I intentionally did not watch a lot of gameplay clips or look up gaming news about it, since I did not want the game to be spoiled. About a week before it came out, I pre-ordered the game and eagerly awaited for the game to be available to play. I finally played it, and after a couple of days, I was not really feeling it like I thought I would. I like it a bit more as of today, but I still think it is inferior to a lot of the past Dragon Ball games that released through the roster, gameplay mechanics, and overall offline and online content. I guess I should start with the good. First off, the game is gorgeous. The environments that you fight in they look pretty good. All the animations I have seen across a good 95% of the cast seem to be solid. The supers and ultimates for the most part look good as well. The music is serviceable, not outstanding, but not mid either. I think the roster is solid even though there are characters missing from Tenkaichi 3, but it is what it is. The little animations they use at the menu is good at first. When you have a good back and forth with somebody online without using cheese tactics is when the game truly shines. Now, onward to the bad or the critiques, whatever you want to call it. I really do not like navigating the main menu because it is forcing you to watch animations, which feels a little laggy. Plus, for example, when I exit out of the customized screen instead of backing out of that screen, you would think I would end up going back to the shop or the customized screen. No, that would make far too much sense. Instead, they force you to go all the way back to the main menu. I can see why they wanted the menu to be more dynamic, but a lot of the time simpler is simply better. Nearly every DBZ game that has came out post PlayStation 2 has a better menu due to this, and I wish they went with a menu without all the animations wholeheartedly. The offline content is also lacking. You have offline battle against a computer or a friend, obviously. Mind you, when you play with a friend offline, the only stage you can pick is the Room of Spirit and Time, drastically killing a lot of the enjoyment to having the game in the first place. Then you have training mode, the shop, and a customized screen where you can change outfits and buy stuff and whatnot. Zeno's orders is pretty much just claiming different stuff the more you play the game. You also had a customized battles or custom battles, my fault, which I have no desire to make my own battles at all, so I cannot speak on that aspect. I did beat majority of the battles available right away, but some of them felt frustrating since you will always lose if you didn't fulfill a random requirement during battle. But here's the thing, it just wasn't explained very well, or if at all. So I have no interest in the mode personally. I wish it was like Dragon Arena from Budokai 3 or the Ultimate Battle modes in the Tenkaichi games. But I digress. And of course, you got the episode battles, which is basically the story mode. To put it lightly, nearly every single Budokai game that has released since the PlayStation 2 has a better story mode than this, or you got the impression that they just put in more effort into those story modes than what we got in Sparking Zero. For no other reason I can think of besides giving me the false illusion that there was more content than I was going to end up getting, each main character has their own story. When I saw this, I thought, okay, I see y'all, this is going to be like Budokai 3 story where each character had their own story that covered every single one of their main fights. That's what's up. Boy, was I wrong. I did Goku's story and I really didn't think it was butchered off first playthrough, but I have only played through it one time. I did Vegeta's story next and I was disappointed that it started the Namek saga against Kui. That's right. The original iconic Goku vs. Vegeta fight is not present at all in Vegeta's story. That's where my antennas went up with suspicions that they were going to cut more stuff, and lo and behold, they did. Vegeta does not have any fights in Dragon Ball Super. There's simply no arc for him. Vegeta beating down Golden Frieza is omitted. Vegeta vs. Hit, Vegeta vs. Goku Black, Vegeta vs. Topo are nowhere in sight. I was incredibly disappointed since for one, Vegeta is my favorite character in the series, and for two, some of his fights were my favorite moments in the anime arc. That being when Vegeta beat the brakes off of Goku Black and was literally dog walking him, and Vegeta vs. Topo when he defeated the second in command with his blue evolution form. The Topo fight is mentioned in Goku or Gohan's arc, can't remember which one, but they don't even animate it and it's just a damn slide. That's another reason why it's disappointing. The slides make the presentation seem half-assed since they had some nicely animated scenes in between them, but it just wasn't enough to give it a good experience. Mainly because the slides aren't even voiced over, so you're reading the text to see what the story is saying. And if you are like me, you just stop reading them outside the what ifs because you know the story. And I'm going to say this, they really needed to make a good animated story for this game since there isn't really a lot of Dragon Ball games that feature Dragon Ball Super content. Plus, each Tenkaichi game had better story modes or more love put into them than what we got. Hell, even Xenoverse 1 and 2 and the more recent Kakarot had way better story mode implementation than what we got in Sparking Zero, so I just feel like it's inexcusable. I'm also going to keep it even more real. I have not played all the what ifs. I have already dragged the story mode, so I will keep this short. The AI makes it an absolute chore to unlock the what ifs in episode battle. Everybody that has played this game will tell you that AI is cheap. This is because it seems they are programmed to auto parry you in the middle of your combo or vanish your attacks easily. I know some people that are watching this is probably saying, oh, this is a skill issue. And if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. However, I have cleared every fight available to me within a week of the game's launch. So, the issue is not me beating the fights. Nah, that's not it at all. The issue is me having to beat an AI quickly while they actively teleport and counter everything. And yes, you can counter it, and sometimes they vanish that. And if you vanish that attempt, you usually win the vanish war or need to vanish one more time to win. That's not fun when it's so repetitive. I don't even know who designed this game, but not even Tenkaichi 3 on hard was as counter and vanish happy as Sparking Zero on normal. Sure, they weren't pushover since you had to know what you were doing and some of the major fights were a bit difficult, but once you got the controls down, you pretty much can sweep them easily. I may put an example up here, but I probably won't. I don't know, depends on how I feel. I just think these games are not meant to be taken serious. I'm not against tournaments and all that, so that's not what I mean. I mean making a sweaty AI auto counter and vanish when you try to melee them. This would be more excusable if this was on like a hard difficulty, but this kind of AI is on a normal difficulty, which is also the highest difficulty we can choose at this time. I have not tried the easy difficulty out, but from what I have read, the AI is pretty brain dead and basically completely free, which isn't fun either, obviously. So, on normal, you end up just hitting sparking mode and spamming ultimates. I beat majority of the fights doing just that the entire time. Fight them till I get one bar, knock them away, hit sparking, hit the dragon dash, mash swear, and knock them down and hit the ultimate. I did that to the Goku when, he had to fight all 5 Genyus or whatever. I think it was a what if, can't really remember. But I had to do that because the AI is just bullshit. You have to resort to these kind of tactics to get through the game, but you did not have to do that in Tenkaichi 2 or 3. Yeah, you could if you wanted to, but the game didn't force you, like it's forcing you in this game, outside of fighting giant characters or the rare story mode fights where the enemy has hyper armor. Sometimes I just want to hit the AI and have a counter randomly to throw me off, but not just be programmed to do that nearly every time I go for a combo in melee range or throw an energy blast. I probably will never beat Dispo quickly as Goku. I can beat him, but never quickly. I admittedly gave up. I haven't tried in weeks. Yeah, get good. Yeah. It's just not fun for me anymore, and I don't really care to play Jerry's story as his character doesn't interest me enough anyway and never has. He's kind of fun to play though. Pretty cheap. But yeah, he's kind of fun. Speaking of fun to play, it isn't sometimes. Well, online most of the time, to be honest. I will not speak on the abundant race quitters. They happen nearly every session I play online to no avail. I will instead put a small collage of people quitting on me that I was able to save. Besides that, the cheese the people use to play this game online takes a lot of the fun out of it. Disclaimer, I am not talking about the people that have always loved Z, Brawly, Super Vegito, or any other fusion or strong character as characters. I have always liked Z Brawly myself, and he was my favorite Z movie villain and still is. Hell, in the old games, my bro and I used to pick Vegito versus Gogeta or slap them somewhere on our teams and go crazy. We would experiment with the whole roster. But if one of us was repeatedly picking someone like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta back to back to back to back, then a shit talking would occur making that person switch. Now, this was healthy shit talking. It wasn't like if you pick that dude again, we gonna have to shoot the fade, we gonna have to shoot the one. It wasn't like that. It was just like, man, you don't pick Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta full time, you can only beat me with him? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. It was healthy. It wasn't insulting, nothing like that. But it was also how we kept a good, fair, and most importantly, fun experience intact. After all, nobody wants to go head up with a fusion every single battle since that isn't fun, nor feel very fair. The thing with Sparking Zero is you cannot do that at all. First off, I don't chat online in games anymore, and even if I did, it doesn't seem like the game has mic support. And even if I could, I wouldn't really do it because your account can get banned or suspended if you say the wrong word or phrase. And I've had my account since 2008, 2009, racking up a whole bunch of different digital games, DLC, rare trophies. Just a lot tied into the account, so I don't like risking it. But I have a feeling that even if you did, just playfully talk junk to somebody, they still wouldn't change people. They would still run the same cheesy strategies, and they would just one and done you and move on to the next person. Like, I had this Master Roshi have me in a loop find this electric blast he used on Kid Goku back in the day. The match was laggy, and it came out too fast for me to dodge. It was literally he would shoot it, the animation would end, and me getting fried would begin. By the time my character recovered, he was already firing it again. He did this like 3 times back to back. The after image strike abusers are in full effect as well as the instant sparking characters with unblockable ultimates are everywhere. Do you see where I'm going with here? This does not make for a fun experience. You know what the cherry on top is for these skills? All the skill gauges recharge far quicker than they did in the previous Tenkaichi games, and there are no drawbacks to using them freely. For example, when using After Image Strike, there was a drawback where your character would have key sickness. Key sickness is when your character charges up slower than usual until you get your key fully charged, and then it goes away. That pretty much made using it very risky in longer battles. In Sparking Zero, there are no such drawbacks to using these skills, and since you recover skill points quickly by finding your opponent a lot of the time, you can easily get skills like After Image Strike quickly after it wears off anyway. Also, what I really do not like is how basic things such as movement seem to cost more ki. For example, just pressing X to kind of dash in but not a dragon dash costs ki. When I first saw this, I was baffled. This gives people less options to get in from an entire map since by the time you reach your opponent, you are out of ki. So it just makes more sense to dragon dash in while still retaining a large portion of your ki. But predictable dragon dashes can easily be countered, and once you reach a certain level of play and ranked, people actively wait for you to do so. I also think firing basic ki blasts costs too much ki, but to be fair, it doesn't cost too much more than Tenkaichi 3. Another thing I do not like are the Vanish Wars. Yeah, they existed before, but with each successive teleport use 1 ki gauge, and the Vanish War got a little quicker to create more challenging gameplay. In Sparking Zero, unless the match is lagging, you will almost always successfully vanish someone's Vanish attempt in the Vanishing War. This is because no matter the character or the amount of times you both vanish each other, the timing will stay the same, so it comes down to whoever has the most ki that ends up winning. Not only that, but in Tenkaichi 3 it costs a full bar key to vanish, while in Sparking Zero it's half a bar key, and with certain items it will be even less. When the game dropped, I enjoyed the Vanish Wars because it was a new game and whatnot, but now I find them boring when they happen. The last main thing I want to speak on is how unresponsive the controls are. Before I go into this, I have to expose the fact that I use classic controls. I have heard that the classic controls have their own set of issues compared to the modern controls, so you have to take all that of what I'm about to say into consideration. What really irks me about this game is that sometimes online I cannot switch out my character or transform. This is detrimental because while my opponent is charging up from across the screen, I would notice I am low on health. So I check my meter and sometimes it is flat out not there, despite me not going into sparking or even transforming for a while. Instead, the camera switch or emotes screen or whatever comes up or the transformation menu will pop up. It feels like I have to mash this to get the switch menu to pop up, and usually when this happens, I die a painful death because my character is a sitting duck as my opponent is able to charge to their personal content prior to sparking and dragon dash over to me instantly or use a teleportation skill instantly to get behind me and then kill me. Similar things happen when I knock my opponent away and my character shoots key blasts or grabs the air when I keyed in my ultimate or a super. When this happens, it pisses me off since most people are actually decent at the game, and sometimes you need to execute at every window you can to maximize damage. However, that is impossible 100% of the time because of the game seemingly just picking and choosing when the controls will work properly. It gets so damn bad that I actually went back to Tenkaichi 3 briefly to see if it's a skill issue, and no, I may not be the best player, and I'm not saying I am, but I am saying I am competent in these games. Every time I intended to throw out a super or ultimate in Tenkaichi 3, it came out exactly when I pressed it. So that rubs me the wrong way with Sparking Zero since the game that came out nearly 20 years ago plays better than the long-awaited sequel on much more advanced hardware. So, all they need to do to make this game a bit more bearable is to implement these changes. I do not want character balance changes since I think nearly everybody plays and comes off as having the amount of power and dominance they are supposed to have. So balance be damned. I just think the ability to access the instant spark skills back to back is a bit much. And the same goes for after image strike as well, which is spam so much online that I am ashamed to use Super Vegito. And Super Vegito from the Boo Saga is always and will always be my favorite Saiyan fusion. But every time I use them, people immediately quit. It's funny because I was running Zarbon, Oob, and Vegito the other day against this one guy. I beat him only using Zarbon and Oob the first time, but the second time he got over and beat both Zarbon and Oob. The second Vegito popped in, I charged up a little and saw him just sit there from across the map. It was weird because he always dragon dashed over the second he locked onto me, but this time he just sat there. He didn't even fight back actually, and then the rematch was denied. Mind you, before he saw I had Vegito as my last character, he was happy to quickly rematch me. But because people have tainted my beloved Vegito, I just cannot play him for fun. I don't even abuse after image strike, but it is what it is. We got the major stuff out the way. Now let's get down to the nitpicks. I think they should allow every character to wear every costume. It would add more personality to the fight. Like, imagine seeing Perfect Cell and Goku Black's clothes or Z, Broly, and Vegeta's pink Batman shirt from the Trunks saga. Just picturing Broly like that is hilarious to me. We don't even have all the outfits for characters. Like the Batman outfit I just mentioned for Vegeta is not there, and neither is Goku's blue end of ZG. That is stupid as hell. We have Goku at the end of Z without the outfit he wore at the end of Z. And the options are lacking anyway, like Vegeta having Saiyan armor with shoelaces or something, and the other one without shoelaces. It's just stupid and lazy. And I know they are going to sell the good costumes like Goku and Vegeta ones I mentioned, which is a bummer because they should have been in. Another thing that was disappointing not to get is how my bro and I have been Tenkaichi fans since high school, and we used to sit side by side playing Tenkaichi 2 and 3 together, having a ton of different matchups. So we planned to do it as soon as possible after lunch, and when we were able to finally find the time to do so, we could only play on one stage, which was the room of spirit and time. Needless to say, it made the matches not as fun as it could have been. Also, speaking on verses, we were really annoyed that only one of us could pick characters at a time. For as long as I have been playing fighting games, I cannot remember any fighting game in the past or present where you had to take turns picking characters. I am really drawing a blank thinking from Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, the Marvel vs. games, Smash, Killer Instinct. Man, can someone help me out? Not even the past Budokai and Tenkaichi games forced this. It's just a weird design in my opinion. And I forgot to bring it up, but the maps in the game in general, they don't do it for me. Like there isn't no outer space stage. There's no glacier stage. You know, pretty much I want to say at least a good third of the stages that are available in Tenkaichi 3 didn't even make it in to Sparking Zero. And the stages we do have, yeah, they do look good, but you know, they're like tournament stages and you're just outside somewhere for the most part. You know, you don't even have Kami's lookout. Like, what are we doing? It's just crazy to me. I don't know what they was doing. I also do not like the DP system, but I see why they did it. My main issue is how I feel 15 is too low of a number for a team. Raise it to at least 18, but I wish it was 20. This way, you have a higher chance of running into more characters and having longer, intense fights. And yeah, I know DP was in Tenkaichi 3 as well. I just always went to standard team battle instead. Another thing is to get rid of time limits in ranked, or at the very least make it 999 seconds or something. 600 seconds doesn't seem long enough if both people have at least 3 fighters apiece on the team. You are usually running the timeouts, especially if someone spawns in from across the map and neither of you are locked on for some reason. So you have to fly around aimlessly looking for them for like 50 seconds. And even if you see them on your screen and you're hitting the lock on button, the lock on system refuses to lock on a lot of the time. I've had people flat out disconnect on me because we couldn't lock on to each other. It just wastes a lot of time. There are also people that will intentionally run from you or hide from you to run down the clock, which obviously wastes even more time. I also really do not like how timeouts work because I don't get it and the decision feels a bit random. I know there's a reason with having more health, but it just doesn't feel all that consistent to me. Oh yeah, I also do not like how every time someone transforms, we have to watch the cutscene again completely. It should be a dramatic cutscene for the first time and then end game with invincibility frames on startup for the times after that. Speaking of skipping scenes, I think if both players press start or options during the intro cutscenes, we should be able to skip it. Some of those intros are long, and if you are playing someone in a set, it can get old pretty quickly. But that's about all I can say about the game itself. I do like it enough to give it a 7 out of 10 within the context of 5 out of 10 being straight down the middle average on my personal scale. So I do think it's a good game, but what makes this disappointing is it could have been the best Dragon Ball Arena fighter ever. In fact, if this game had a better story mode that was fully animated going through every main fight in the series, it would have been better than just butchering it and throwing in what ifs. If the game implemented some kind of key sickness for after image strike, or maybe made instant spark skills cost more, and some of the other defensive skills, having adverse effects, then a lot of the cheese people are complaining about would not be a thing. Give us more varied costumes, a longer tournament mode, an ultimate battle type mode, and an easier way to get casual matches when you don't want to sweat with the tryhards and maybe pick a joke character or team for laughs. But you can't do that if all your opponents are hungry for virtual points in an arena fighter and only pick the strongest team possible. Even though I have a lot of bad to say about the game, I still enjoy it to a certain extent. Whenever I encounter a person that is using characters other than the characters people tend to pick to try to cheese out a win, it's a breath of fresh air. The game is one of, if not the best looking Dragon Ball games I have ever played as well. But I honestly go back and forth with this game and Kakarot having the best graphics and presentation. It's just one of those things where the game could have been and should have been so much better. But instead it failed to meet my expectations mainly because Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3 are legendary games that I still return to play to this day. They dropped the ball on some of the dumbest things that they had no issue with in the past iterations, and that is why it is disappointing in my opinion. Well, that's about all I have to say today. Did you play Dragonball Sparking Zero? If so, what is your opinion on it? Did it meet your expectations? Do you disagree with what I was saying in the video, or do you agree with what I was saying in the video? What are some things you will fix or add to the game to make it a more enjoyable experience? I'm very curious to know what everybody has to say about the game, so don't hold back in the comment section. As usual, thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the like, comment, share, and subscribe button as you see fit. It really helps out the channel. It helps me grow. Much love to everybody and stay safe out there. The world going crazy. For real. Face signing up.